Jorn had lived his entire life in darkness, born blind on the farthest human colony of the Andera system. Yet he had never let his condition make him weak. The colony was small but bustling with alien species, humans, and hybrids. People often whispered about him, some with pity, some with mockery. But Joran had learned to listen, to sense the world around him in ways others could not. One morning, the council of the colony called him to the central hall, a place where decisions were made and plans were discussed. Joran entered slowly, using his walking staff to feel the steps and walls. He could sense the tension in the air, the low murmur of alien voices full of amusement. Today, the council had something unusual planned, and Joran knew it before anyone spoke. From behind the high council desk, a group of tall aliens laughed quietly. Their leader, a sharp-eyed being named Varkan, leaned forward and said, "Joran, we have a special companion for you today." He motioned to the side, and a figure stepped forward. The crowd gasped, and then many began to snicker. It was Kayla, a young alien girl with unusual features, her skin marked with rough textures and odd colors, her eyes large and shimmering in ways humans were not used to. The council whispered among themselves, clearly thinking she was ugly by human standards. They expected Joran to be shocked or disgusted, to reject her, to look foolish in front of everyone. Joran paused and extended his hand slightly toward Kayla, feeling her presence. He said softly, "Hello, I am Joran, and I will be your friend." The council was silent, stunned by his calm and polite voice. They had expected anger, fear, or even mockery in return. Kayla looked at him with wide eyes, unsure of what to say. But there was something in Joran's voice that made her feel safe, something she had not felt in a long time. The council laughed louder, thinking they had won. Varkan said, "He cannot see her. Maybe he will finally understand what we mean by ugly." But Joran did not answer them. He simply focused on Kayla, sensing her heartbeat, her nervous movements, her warmth. He smiled, and it was a gentle, confident smile that made some of the council members shift uncomfortably in their seats. Over the next few days, Joran and Kayla were assigned to live together in a small module near the colony's edge. The council's laughter echoed in the corridors as people whispered about the strange pairing. Yet, Joran treated Kayla with respect, listening to her, helping her find her way around the colony. He never mocked her, never laughed at her, and never let her feel alone. Kayla, at first, was shy and quiet. She had been treated poorly by others for her looks and unusual abilities. But with Joran, she began to feel a spark of hope. She discovered he could sense things no one else could, hear faint movements, and even see people by the energy they gave off. She realized that the blind human was far more capable than anyone had ever imagined. And that thought scared the council more than they could admit. One evening, the council held a gathering in the Grand Hall, and Joran and Kayla were invited. Other aliens whispered and stared, some openly mocking Kayla's strange features. Joran stood tall, though he could not see them. He felt their energy, their intentions, and ignored their ridicule. Instead, he focused on Kayla, offering her support and encouragement. It was the first time anyone had defended her without needing anything in return. The council tried to provoke Joran, asking questions about Kayla. "Do you really want her to stay here? Do you not see how she looks?" Joran replied calmly, "I see her more than you do. I see who she's inside, and that is what matters." A silence fell across the room. Kayla could feel the tension, and her heart lifted with pride and hope. Even the mocking council members felt a small tremor of doubt in their minds. As the day ended, Joran walked with Kayla back to their module. He spoke quietly. "They will try to make you feel small, Kayla, but you are stronger than they think." Kayla nodded, a small smile appearing on her face. She realized that the blind human was not weak. He was powerful in ways that others could not understand. And together, they could face whatever challenges the colony might throw at them. But the council did not know it yet. Kayla's strength was more than physical, and Joran's senses were beyond human limits. The first seeds of their triumph were already planted, and the galaxy was about to witness something they would never forget. Life in the small module at the edge of the colony had begun for Joran and Kayla. Though some still whispered about them, Joran paid no attention to the mocking words. He had learned long ago that true strength came from within, and appearances were meaningless. Kayla, however, was not used to kindness, and she felt a strange warmth whenever Joran was near. She started noticing that he could sense her smallest movements, her softest breaths, even the faintest change in her heartbeat. It was unlike anything she had ever experienced, and it left her both amazed and curious. The council, meanwhile, continued to plot behind closed doors. Varkon and his allies were furious that Joran seemed unaffected by their mockery. They cannot see her, yet he treats her with respect? This is unacceptable, Varkon hissed. They think they are clever, but we will show them that their ignorance will cost them, whispered another council member. They planned to test both Joran and Kayla, hoping to expose weakness. But neither of them knew that the blind human and his ugly alien sister were far stronger than anyone imagined. A week passed, and Kayla began to trust Joran completely. She shared stories about her home planet, about the abilities she had never dared to use. Joran listened carefully, sensing her potential, and sometimes giving small hints. You do not need to hide who you are, Kayla. The right moment will come. Kayla's curiosity grew, and she began to experiment with small powers. She could lift objects without touching them, move small things with her mind, and even sense energy patterns around her. Joran watched silently, proud but cautious, knowing that the council's spies were everywhere. He whispered to her one night, "Control it, Kayla. Timing is everything. We must wait for the right moment." Then came the first real test. A warning alarm echoed through the colony as a rogue band of alien pirates attacked. The council panicked, running through the halls giving orders. Most of the colonists fled in fear, but Joran stood calm, sensing the approaching danger with his heightened perception. Kayla, terrified at first, looked to him for guidance. "Stay close, Kayla. You are stronger than you know," he said. Together, they moved through the corridors, avoiding debris, sensing the exact positions of the intruders. Kayla's powers began to manifest in ways that shocked even her. She lifted objects to block pathways, hurled heavy crates at the pirates, and created energy shields that stopped the first wave of attackers. Joran guided her with precise instructions, turning her fear into action. The pirates had expected easy prey, a blind human and a strange alien girl. But they soon realized that both were extraordinary, working together in ways they could not predict. Back in the council chamber, Varkon watched the battle unfold on surveillance screens. His mouth fell open, disbelief spreading across his face. This cannot be," he muttered. The council members had underestimated Kayla's powers, and they had completely misjudged Joran's abilities. Their mockery and arrogance were about to be their downfall. As the fight continued, Kayla's confidence grew. She began controlling larger objects, sending pirates flying back with bursts of energy. Joran's heightened senses allowed him to anticipate their moves, avoiding attacks, and keeping Kayla safe. The colonists watching from safe areas began to cheer, amazed at the teamwork and courage displayed before them. Even those who had mocked Kayla began to whisper in awe, realizing they had been wrong. By the time the battle ended, the pirates had retreated. The colony was safe, but the council could no longer hide their embarrassment. Varkon clenched his fists, realizing that their plan to humiliate Joran had failed completely. Kayla stood tall beside Joran, no longer timid, no longer fearful. Her strange appearance no longer mattered. Her power and bravery had spoken louder than any words. That night, as the colony settled and repairs began, Joran spoke to Kayla. "You see, Kayla, appearances are never the measure of strength. The right people will always see who you truly are." Kayla nodded, her heart swelling with pride and confidence. She realized that together, she and Joran could face any challenge, no matter how impossible it seemed. and far away. The council plotted again, unaware that they had just witnessed the first signs of a force they could never control. The colony had barely recovered from the pirate attack. Joran and Kayla had proven themselves, but the council's anger was growing. Varkon and the others were not used to being wrong. They whispered to one another, plotting a way to humiliate Joran and Kayla once and for all. But they did not realize that the blind human and the ugly alien sister were far more capable than anyone imagined. One morning, a strange signal echoed across the colony's sensors. It was faint, irregular, and foreign, coming from deep space beyond the colony's protective barrier. The council froze as their monitors picked up the pattern. "This is unusual, dangerous," one of them whispered. Varkin's sharp eyes narrowed. "We cannot ignore it. We must act fast." The council called an emergency meeting, demanding Joran and Kayla's involvement. "Blind human, you will lead the investigation with Kayla at your side," Varkon barked. Joran remained calm, sensing the hidden threat in the council's tone. Kayla, however, felt a thrill of anticipation. She had been waiting for a real test of her abilities, and this signal felt like the perfect challenge. They boarded a small scout ship, Joran using his heightened senses to navigate. Kayla sat beside him, concentrating, feeling the energy waves in the signal. The closer they got, the stronger the force became. It pulsed like a heartbeat, unnatural yet powerful. Joran extended his senses. "Kayla, I feel it moving. Something is alive," he said. She nodded, focusing her own abilities, trying to match the rhythm of the signal. Suddenly, the scout ship shook violently, alarms blaring. Something massive appeared in the distance, a dark silhouette against the stars. It was unlike any alien species they had seen, a monstrous warship covered with jagged armor and glowing crimson lights. Kayla gasped. "This is not a normal ship. It's something else." Joran remained steady, sensing weak points in its structure, calculating the danger. "They think we are weak," he said quietly, "but we are far from helpless." The warship fired a beam that narrowly missed their ship. The blast shook the hull, sending sparks across the console. Kayla focused her energy, creating a shield that absorbed most of the impact. Joran guided her, calling out directions with precise timing. Together, they moved through space with skill and confidence. The council, watching remotely, could barely comprehend what they were witnessing. The aliens aboard the warship were sentient, highly advanced, and aggressive. They had underestimated the human and the alien sister completely. Kayla's powers flared as she connected with the energy field surrounding the warship. She lifted heavy debris in space, hurling it at the enemy with perfect accuracy. Joran's senses guided each move, predicting the enemy's attacks before they happened. It was a dance of strategy, strength, and precision. As the battle escalated, the warship tried to retreat, but Joran and Kayla followed, relentless. They discovered the ship's core was exposed, vulnerable to attack. Kayla concentrated all her energy, creating a massive surge that disabled the core. The warship's systems faltered, lights dimmed, and it drifted helplessly in space. The colony watched in awe as their so-called weak heroes had saved them once again. Back at the colony, Varkin's face was pale. He had never imagined that the blind human and his alien sister could accomplish such a feat. That they're unstoppable, he whispered, trembling. Even the other council members, who had mocked Kayla from the start, now felt fear and respect. Kayla, standing tall beside Joran, smiled quietly. For the first time, she realized that their true strength was not just in power, but in teamwork and trust. That night, as the colony celebrated their heroes, Joran spoke softly to Kayla. "Today we proved that appearances and doubt mean nothing against skill and courage." Kayla nodded, feeling a sense of pride she had never known. But in the shadows, distant from the celebration, new watchers observed them. Eyes unseen, minds calculating. The universe was vast, and their journey had only just begun. The colony had returned to a fragile calm after the encounter with the rogue warship. Joran and Kayla were hailed as heroes, yet the Council's tension simmered beneath the surface. Varkon and his allies had never been so humiliated. They had mocked the blind human and his alien sister, and now the entire colony had witnessed their courage and skill. They gathered in the council chamber, whispering furiously. "This cannot continue," Varkon hissed. "They must be controlled before they expose more of our failures." Meanwhile, Joran and Kayla were unaware of the council's plotting. They were focused on recovering, analyzing the warship's energy signature. Kayla had begun to realize the extent of her powers. She could manipulate energy fields, sense movement from miles away, and even predict attacks before they happened. Joran encouraged her. "The Council underestimates us, Kayla, but their arrogance can be our advantage." Her confidence grew with each passing day. No longer timid, she was beginning to feel unstoppable. Then, during a public meeting in the Grand Hall, the Council attempted to regain authority. Varkon presented a new challenge, a simulation meant to humiliate Joran and Kayla. The aliens in the chamber whispered, some sneering at Kayla's appearance. "This is your chance to fail," one council member muttered. But Joran remained calm, sensing the trap before it even began. Kayla tightened her focus, her body thrumming with energy. The simulation started, projecting a holographic battlefield across the hall. Obstacles appeared, dangerous creatures, and chaotic energy fields. The council expected panic, expected Kayla to falter. Instead, Joran moved confidently through the simulation, guiding Kayla's actions with precise instructions. Kayla lifted debris, formed shields, and manipulated energy in ways that stunned even the observers. They were a perfect team, anticipating each other's moves with uncanny accuracy. As the final obstacle appeared, a massive holographic creature towering over them, Kayla unleashed her full power, a surge of energy that flattened the projection instantly. The council gasped, some even falling back in shock. The other colonists cheered, realizing they had underestimated Kayla all along. Varkon's face turned red with rage and fear. They had thought this would humiliate the pair. Instead, it had revealed just how strong, intelligent, and coordinated they were. Joran stepped forward, speaking calmly yet firmly. "Strength is not measured by appearances, nor by the opinions of others. True strength is in courage, intelligence, and unity." Kayla stood beside him, her presence commanding, radiating confidence and power. The council members, who had mocked her from the start, could no longer hide their fear. Whispers filled the chamber. "They are unstoppable. What can we do?" Even the most arrogant council members realized they had misjudged the pair completely. After the simulation, Kayla and Joran walked through the colony, unnoticed by many but watched closely by the council. The colonists began to follow them, asking questions, seeking guidance, inspired by their courage. Kayla smiled, realizing that she was no longer the shy, overlooked alien girl. She had become a symbol of hope and power, beside a human who saw her for who she truly was. Joran's calm presence reassured her. "Together, Kayla, we can face anything." But the council was not done. In the shadows, Varkon whispered to his allies, "We must find their weakness, or they will expose everything we have hidden." Unknown to them, the first watchers from deep space were also observing, eyes unseen, calculating, waiting for the right moment to strike. The galaxy was no longer a safe place, and Joran and Kayla were about to face challenges far greater than any council or pirate could ever imagine. That night, Kayla looked at Joran. "I feel like we are just beginning. There's so much more we can do." He smiled. "Yes, Kayla, the universe is full of threats, but also full of opportunities, and we will face them together." The stars above the colony twinkled, hiding mysteries, dangers, and adventures. And as the council plotted their next move, the real story of Joran and Kayla was just beginning to unfold. The colony had begun to feel safe again, Yet Joran and Kayla sensed a hidden danger lurking behind the council's polite words. The council's whispers had grown darker, their plans more secretive. Varkan, frustrated by repeated failure, decided to act. He called a secret meeting with his closest allies, plotting a plan to take control of the colony using forbidden technology. They intended to humiliate Joran and Kayla publicly, claiming their heroics were worthless and that the colony would obey the council's authority. Joran and Kayla, however, had already felt the disturbance in the council's energy. The signals were faint at first, subtle, but Joran's heightened senses picked them up immediately. Kayla's alien instincts confirmed the danger, her body thrumming with anticipation. "They think they are clever, but they are exposing themselves," Joran whispered. Kayla's eyes glowed faintly as she concentrated, ready to act at the perfect moment. The council announced a public assembly, claiming it was to celebrate the colony's heroes. Everyone gathered, including those who had mocked Kayla from the beginning, curious to see the blind human and his ugly sister. Varkan stood at the podium, hiding his treachery behind a mask of pride. He activated a concealed device, sending a surge of energy through the assembly, designed to immobilize Joran and Kayla. The colonists gasped in shock, some frozen in fear. But Joran sensed the attack instantly, moving with precision. Kayla unleashed her powers, creating a protective energy shield around them. The council's plan failed before it could begin. Joran stepped forward, his voice calm but commanding. "The council underestimates more than just us. They underestimate the truth." Kayla's energy flared, sending a wave that revealed the council's hidden devices to the entire assembly. The colonists gasped, witnessing the council's deceit and betrayal. Varkan's face turned pale as his plan crumbled in real time. He had not expected Joran and Kayla to detect the hidden technology so quickly, nor to reveal it to everyone. Kayla floated slightly above the ground, her energy radiating power. She projected the council's secret plans in holographic form for all to see. The assembly murmured in awe, realizing that the heroes they had doubted were now exposing the corrupt leaders. The council tried to speak, to deny, to regain control, but their words were drowned out by the evidence of their treachery. Joran's senses guided him, and with Kayla's abilities, they prevented any further attempt to manipulate the colony. The turning point was clear. The colony's faith shifted entirely to Joran and Kayla. Even those who had been neutral or cautious now cheered for them, inspired by their courage and brilliance. The council was left stunned, their authority crumbling before their eyes. Varkan realized too late that they had not only lost control, but also exposed themselves as liars and manipulators. Joran spoke quietly to Kayla. "They sought to control us, to humiliate us, but instead, they have shown the entire colony the truth." Kayla smiled, feeling a surge of pride and determination. Her powers had never been used so openly, and she felt stronger than ever. The blind human had guided her with precision, trust, and understanding. Together, they had turned a council plot into a revelation that would change the colony forever. But as the council retreated in shame, a new signal appeared on the colony's sensors. It was faint but unmistakable, originating from deep space. Eyes unseen watched the colony, calculating, waiting for the right moment. Joran felt it immediately, a chill running down his spine. "This is bigger than the council," he whispered. Kayla nodded. "We are ready, but whatever comes next will challenge everything we know." The galaxy was vast, full of enemies and mysteries. And for Joran and Kayla, the true adventure had only just begun. The colony had never witnessed such courage. Joran and Kayla had exposed the council, defended the colony, and revealed powers that no one had expected. But the galaxy had more dangers waiting. A new signal, strange and powerful, pulsed from the dark reaches of space. Sensors detected an enormous fleet approaching, unlike anything the colony had ever seen. Its ships glowed with dark energy, silent yet menacing. Joran felt it first, a wave of tension through his heightened senses. Kayla's instincts flared, her body humming with power. Varkon and the remaining council members panicked. They had lost control and now feared for their very lives. "Prepare the defenses," one of them shouted. But Joran and Kayla were already moving. They had no need for fear, only strategy and trust in each other. Joran guided the colonists, forming barricades and evacuation routes. Kayla's energy flared as she created protective shields over the key areas. But the fleet was relentless, advancing with terrifying speed. Its lead ship, massive and glowing with red energy, fired a beam that tore through the outer defenses. Kayla responded instantly, raising a shield that absorbed most of the blast. Joran shouted instructions, anticipating the fleet's next moves. Together, they were unstoppable, a perfect combination of human strategy and alien power. The first attack was only a test. The fleet's ships scattered across the skies, probing, searching for weaknesses. Kayla focused, sensing the energy patterns of the enemy's ships. She extended her power, lifting debris, redirecting energy, and even disrupting their weapons. Joran moved through the chaos with his heightened senses, guiding colonists, anticipating attacks, and finding vulnerabilities. They became the heart of the colony's defense, the unstoppable force the enemies had never expected. Then, in the midst of battle, the lead ship descended closer, massive energy beams cutting through space. Joran and Kayla realized they needed to strike directly at the command core to stop the fleet. Kayla concentrated, gathering all her strength, while Joran calculated the optimal strike path. With perfect coordination, Kayla unleashed a massive surge of energy, piercing the lead ship's core. The explosion rippled through the fleet, disabling many ships instantly. The remaining vessels retreated, their morale broken by the unexpected power of the blind human and his alien sister. Back on the colony, the people cheered, inspired and amazed. The council, who had tried to control them, stood humiliated and powerless. Varkin's face was pale, realizing they had completely underestimated the heroes. Kayla floated above the ground, her energy shimmering. Joran stood beside her, calm and commanding, his senses already alert for the next threat. The colonists saw them not as strange or weak, but as legends, defenders of their home. Joran spoke quietly to Kayla. "Today we prove that courage, intelligence, and trust are stronger than any weapon or fleet." Kayla nodded, feeling a sense of pride and power she had never experienced before. She realized that their bond, their teamwork, and their courage were unstoppable. Even the council members who had mocked her had no choice but to respect and fear them. The galaxy had learned a powerful lesson: underestimating humanity and its allies was a mistake. But as celebrations began, the new signal from deep space pulsed again, faint but insistent. It hinted at something even larger, more dangerous, and far more mysterious. Joran felt it, a cold shiver running through his senses. Kayla's eyes glowed, ready for whatever came next. Together, they stood at the edge of the colony, victorious but aware. The universe was vast and full of threats, yet they were ready to face it all. The colony was alive with cheers, the people celebrating the courage of Joran and Kayla. For the first time, the blind human and his ugly alien sister were seen not as oddities, but as legends. Varkon and the remaining council members watched helplessly from the Grand Chamber. Their schemes had failed, their authority shattered. Every colonist now knew the truth. Courage, skill, and trust were stronger than mockery and arrogance. Kayla floated above the ground, her energy shimmering, a beacon of power and hope. Joran stood beside her, calm and alert, his heightened senses already scanning the skies for new threats. The colonists came forward, offering gratitude, respect, and admiration. Even those who had mocked Kayla before now bowed their heads in awe. The council could not speak, their lies and manipulations fully exposed. Varkin's pride crumbled as he realized that he had underestimated not just Kayla, but the power of humanity itself. Joran and Kayla had earned more than respect. They had earned trust. The colonists now looked to them for guidance, for leadership, and for protection. Kayla smiled, feeling a warmth she had never felt before. Her so-called flaws, her strange appearance, were no longer important. It was her courage, intelligence, and loyalty that mattered. And now the galaxy had witnessed it all. But celebration did not mean complacency. Joran felt the familiar pulse of a distant signal, faint but growing. The watchers from deep space were still out there, observing, calculating, their intentions unknown. Their power hinted at an every ripple of energy. Kayla's eyes glowed as she focused, her body ready. Together, they had survived every challenge so far. But the universe was vast, full of dangers that even their extraordinary abilities might struggle against. In the council chamber, Varkan finally spoke, his voice trembling. You have shown us the truth. We underestimated you. Joran looked at him calmly. Respect is earned, not demanded, and today we prove that. Kayla extended a hand toward the council, a gesture of forgiveness and strength. Even those who had mocked her now understood that true power came from integrity, courage, and unity. The colonists cheered louder than ever, inspired by the heroes before them. Children pointed toward Kayla, dreaming of becoming brave like her. Adults whispered about the blind human who saw more than anyone else could, and in that moment, the galaxy seemed a little smaller, a little safer because of them. As night fell, Joran and Kayla stood at the edge of the colony, looking at the stars. The mysterious signal pulsed again, stronger than before. It was a warning, a challenge, and an invitation all at once. Joran tightened his grip on his staff, feeling the energy in the universe around him. Kayla's power radiated, ready for whatever came next. Together, they had faced mockery, danger, and betrayal. And together, they would face the vast unknown of the galaxy. The story of the blind human and the ugly, alien sister was complete for now, but the adventure was far from over. The universe had taken notice, and new challenges, more terrifying and powerful than ever, were on the horizon. Joran smiled at Kayla. No matter what comes, we face it together. Kayla nodded, her confidence unshakable, her energy blazing like a star. And as the colony slept, unaware of the watchers still observing, the true legend of Joran and Kayla had only just begun.